You know what? Fuck intros. Fuck headphones that for some reason have the default mic off. Fuck sound issues. We're just going straight into this. Han rocks. And this thing, what is Fast and the Furious retrospective part 2B. I hope the audio's in this time because if it's not, I'm gonna slap my wrist. Intro song. This is the intro song. I'm off my beats a little bit. I might have forgotten to take them yesterday, and I haven't slept in 72 hours. So, when we last left off, Tokyo Drift had happened, unfortunately. Though it did give us Han, so there's that. And Fast 1 and 2 had happened, and now we're on to Fast and Furious. To be clear, this title is different from the first film. The first film is The Fast and the Furious, and this film is just Fast and Furious. They've taken the thes out. How you know they serious this time. Okay, so the director of the Fast and Furious was Justin Lin, the same director as Tokyo Drift, and he is the consistent director for a majority of the films throughout the rest of the remainder of the franchise. And the writer is the same as well. Same deal. These two work together quite well on these films, I think. Chris Morgan. Yeah. So, part of this film. Basically, film opens and we see Dom in a car approaching some tankers off in the distance. Letty's in his passenger seat, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're back. Loud noises, music playing, shit's bumping, heist's about to go down. Then we reveal that they're working with some other people. Behind them, two new guys who we haven't met before seem to have some good bands going on, and the car behind them, motherfucking Han. Han. He's not dead. What? But he died. Is he dead? What's going on? Anyway, the heist happens. It's amazing. Basically, they're stealing fuel because it's worth shitloads, and I think they're the Dominican Republic at this point. The DC, as they call it. Lingo, street lingo for all you people heading to the Dominican Republic. Gonna steal some things. Gonna do some crimes. Oh, I know you're watching. Ethan. Summer. Yeah, if you don't reply to this, then I know you don't watch my videos and you hate me. Friendship test. Fuck yes. Anyway, it's a really good scene. Really cool action happens. Then they get the fuel. They head back to their beach house. Han's like, you know what? I'm done with this stuff. Made some money. I think I'm gonna head back out east. Where you going? I don't know. Yeah, they're doing some crazy stuff with cars out in Tokyo. Shit. This film takes place before Tokyo Drift. Han's still dead. Fuck. Anyway, the film continues. Dom leaves Letty with his share of the money because he wants her to have a good life because the feds are only after him, not her. She heads back to LA, and then we catch up with Brian. Yeah, that's right. Both of them are back for this film. Anyway, Brian is an FBI agent now. Like, yeah, dude fitted up. Anyway, he's on the lookout for this guy, Braga. Braga is a major drug kingpin moving product into LA over the Mexican border. California over the Mexican border. Yeah. Over the course of the scene where we meet some other people in the FBI, we find out that Letty has died in a car accident. It may or may not be connected to Braga. We're not sure yet. Maybe she was running for him. What's going on? We don't know yet. Fuck, that's probably really audible, and I'm sorry about my sniffing, but I also don't give a shit. What am I doing? Anyway, the film progresses. Toretto comes back to town to avenge Letty's death. So him and Brian get involved in the street race. Brian's undercover for the FBI, trying to infiltrate Braga's gang to find out who Braga is, because no one's ever seen him before. So they both enter the street race. Dom wins, though it's like he sort of cheated, but at the same time, doesn't win if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. Fuck you, Brian, you bastard. Yeah, and then some stuff happens, and Brian also gets on the team. They heist the cargo for him, and then when they bring it back to stateside, Braga's going to have them executed. What? Yeah. But they escape with the product. Oh, yeah, a bit before that, at this point, we actually meet a new character who's sort of important, whose name is Giselle Kashar. She is played by Gal Gadot. She works as Braga's sort of, I guess, intel manager. She keeps an eye on the satellites and like camera movements so that they can cross the border undetected. They basically use these secret tunnels. Anyway, they are betrayed by Braga. So at this point, Dom finds out that Letty was working for Brian on a deal that they'd get Toretto back. Toretto would be, if they got Braga, Toretto would be cleared of all charges. Because, I mean, all he did was steal a couple of $1 million worth of DVD players, and Braga's shipping millions of drugs, like, every week. So there's a little bit of a difference in scale. Anyway, the FBI says if they can catch Braga, they'll let Dom off. Again, unfortunately, in the handoff, they fuck it up, and Braga escapes, because it turns out the guy they thought was Braga's right hand man was actually Braga the whole time. And you're like, I totally saw that coming. Yeah, and he escapes to Mexico. Toretto and Brian go after him. Basically, Brian at this point is just like, fuck being a Fed, I'm gonna do the right thing. And Dom's like, I'm out for revenge. If you along, you ain't stopping me. And Brian's like, I don't care as long as Braga goes down. And then they find Braga in a church, and at that point Dom's just like, you know what, revenge isn't for me. They take Braga back to the States. Dom gets his revenge on the other guy who killed Letty, who was Braga's actual right-hand man. But unfortunately, at the end of the film, the FBI sort of reneges on their deal, and Toretto's going to go to jail for 25 to life. And that's how the film ends. For a couple of seconds, and then we get, like, it's not even a post-credit scene, like, there's, like, one title card flash, and then we cut to Dom sitting in the prison bus, and honestly, it's decent acting by Vin Diesel. He's also got, like, a very strong facial acting, I want to say. Like, he can portray, like, his emotions on his face very well and silently. And in this moment, you can tell he's feeling lost and desperate. And then he hears, like, the rev of an engine, and he sort of looks over his shoulder, and he's like, yeah. And then we cut to seeing Brian and Mia coming to free him, as well as the two other races we met in the Dominican Republic, who I don't know if they actually name over the course of the film, but their names are Targo and Rico. Toga and Rico? I don't know. I've got it written down, but I can't read my own handwriting at this point. So, important characters from this film. Giselle Kashar, played by Gal Gadot. Braga, played by John Ortiz. Targa and Rico, played by Tago Calderon and Don Omar. I really like this film because it's exactly what you want from a sequel. It takes these references and callbacks to the original without making them too obvious or repeating the same things. They're just subtle lines like "still a buster" or "you owe me a 10-second car now, Dom." They don't detract from anyone who hasn't seen the films, but it really adds something for people who has. It doesn't rehash the same events in a different way. It evolves the characters and shows how far they've come and how much they've changed. Brian chooses not to be a cop anymore. He chooses that he is now part of the race. Fuck, I'm running out of time. God damn it. Anyway, one really cool line from this one is, "This is where my jurisdiction ends. This is where mine begins." criminals don't have a jurisdiction, but we let it slide because it's Fast and Furious. Anyway, Fast 5, director Justin Lin, writer Chris Morgan. The plot, cool. We showed them on the run. They've separated. Mia and Brian are together because they're a thing now again, and Dom's off on his own. They pull a deal, but it turns out the deal was going south because this new guy, Reyes, is trying to get this chip inside one of the cars that they were supposed to boost, but he doesn't want anyone to know he's after the chip because it's got all the information on all his drug dens. And he basically runs Rio de Janeiro, which is where they are for this film. Great shots of Rio. I'd love to play like a superhero parkour game in that, like free running game, kind of like Infamous, but in Rio. It'd be really cool. Anyway, then we're introduced to Hobbs, who's like this no nonsense diplomatic special services guy who goes into other countries where they have extradition treaties and captures American criminals with zero regard for the local law enforcement or the law, because United States, hold on, I'm running out of time. Anyway, Dom and his crew realize what's happening and they decide that they want to get Braga's money, so they need a crew. And the crew is people from previous films, so they call in Rome, they call in Tej, they call in Giselle, they call in Rico, they call in Tago, and they call him motherfucking Han. That's right, he's not dead yet. Because Tokyo Drift hasn't happened yet. Oh. Anyway, Hobbs is working with this local cop called Elena. Basically, she's sort of a romantic interest for Dom now that Letty's not in the picture. She's like straight on the up and up, but also she really cares about people and she doesn't want Dom to be brought in because they're actually innocent of what Hobbs wants them for. As the crew assembles, they're captured by Hobbs. But as they're captured, and being brought back to the airport, Reyes knows they've still got the chip, so he ambushes the transportation and kills all of Hobbs' men, except for Dom and his crew manage to escape at this point, but they come back and save Hobbs' life. And then they do the heist, and it's fucking awesome. One of the best scenes in all the films. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the Fast and Furious films and you have no interest, if you like ridiculous action scenes, watch the last 20 minutes of this film. You don't need context. It's just fucking insane. But basically, they get over his money, which is like $11 million for each of them. They're after this money so that they can retire and stop running. It's a really good film. A lot of people credit this as like the best film in the franchise because it's when it stopped taking itself seriously, which is stupid because the films still take themselves seriously in like a way that films do. They don't like poke fun at themselves or like, this is all ridiculous, how are we doing this? No, like the characters in the films, I think people just confuse action movies that aren't depressing and dark with action movies that aren't taking themselves seriously, especially around that time when you had every superhero movie was like a fucking dark reboot before the Marvel films. Anyway, they take themselves seriously and that's fine, and I think people need to get over themselves enjoying these films and just admit that they enjoy these films because they are good films. Fuck's sake, I don't know. Anyway, this film had some really great lines. Run, before it's too late. Leave Rio, and you can be free. Running ain't freedom. You should know that. The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here, right now. Salute me, familia. This is like the film where it really gets into like family isn't blood. And then this film, which like sort of exemplifies the acknowledgement that I think a lot of people poke at, and like the movies are aware of how ridiculous they are, but it doesn't stop them wanting to be ridiculous. And the line is, alright, listen up. The guys we're after is professional runners. They like speed and guarantee to go down the hardest way possible, so make sure you've got your thunderwear on. Honestly, Hobbs' fucking lines. we find him, we take him as a team, and we bring him back. Above all else, we don't ever let them get into cars. Because basically, everyone on the crew is normal humans. Unless they're touching a car or in a car or have just leapt out of a car. And then they're superhuman for about 30 seconds. It's a wet cough, I don't have corona. And that's sort of like the ethos from this point on. They're normal humans, for the most part. They have skills and stuff from the previous lives, but in cars, they are superhuman. Also, Dom beats Hobbs in this, like, wins the fight. Fuck you, The Rock. That's about it for this part. Sign-off phrase. I might, it's like, or I might not. Who knows at this point?